everyone. My name is Augustine Williams. I'm a striker for the LA Galaxy and the Sierra Leone national team. Please subscribe to Juan, Rodas YouTube channel. The name is JUAN RODAS. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Juan Rodas. Today we have forward from Sierra Leone and also from LA Galaxy 2, Augustine Williams. Augustine, how are you today in Los Angeles?
How are you, man? How are you? Thank you for having me. It's great out here, man.
Doing good. I'm glad to hear that. And obviously, Augustine, we know that you're born in Sierra Leone in Africa.
Yeah.
If you could talk to us about, how was your upbringing, if you do remember much of which you possibly had in your home country?
There's not a lot I can say I do remember. Obviously, there's a little few things I remember just before I left. For the fact that, even though I know that for a fact that there's not a lot I remember, but I know that for a fact I was born there. I grew up in a city called Freetown.
Yeah.
I can remember my youth days. I also remember one of the schools that I went to, but it's a little different than obviously growing up in America. It's more like a free world where there's not a lot of things that you could look at and be like, I have these opportunities to kind of like do what I want to do. It's kind of like different than being in America, but obviously, like I said, I grew up there. I used to play street soccer on the streets with a few friends that I don't remember their face anymore except for their names.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there's not a lot much that I remember, but I know I still have families over there that are still there till now. So it was great also me going back home, just also trying to learn more.
Yeah.
About it and see more that I can actually like say, okay, this is like really where I grew up and stuff like that.
Of course. At what age did you come from Sierra Leone over here to the States?
Well, when I left, I was 6. I lived in Senegal for a year and a half. That's where the embassy was where we went to the interview.
In Dakar?
And then yeah, in Dakar.
Wow.
And then from there I turned 7 right when I turned 7 there, and then I spent like a year and a half there, so 2 birthdays there, and then right when I turned 8 is when I moved to the States.
Well, of course, and obviously as a little kid, we know that in Africa soccer is the most played sport out of all sports. But in your case, obviously being in Sierra Leone and coming to the States, what sports did you play? Was it only football? What was the other, like maybe basketball or baseball,
Nah, that's it. That's it pretty much. Obviously, I did try other sports in America.
Yeah.
But most people, when they come from that generation, especially Africans, like the male, like what they focus more on is it's soccer, which is, we call it football. That's what we've always focused on, even if you're not trying to go professional at it, but you would see that guys on the street just having fun with it and just all over the place. That's what you see.
Yeah, most definitely. And obviously, as a little kid, were you, like a troublemaker, or were you more like a calm kid, that stayed to yourself, or were you like a headline?
It's really hard for you to be a troublemaker when you kind of grow up around your parents, because most African parents are strict. And that's the one thing that a lot of us can identify, that we have that in common. But I would definitely say I was more. The only time I would cause trouble was when my mom would say, "Today you have to stay home and not go play football." That's when we had that little disagreement. Like, okay, but then when she left, I had to leave the house.
Yeah. Of course. And then obviously when you've been out here for a long time here in America, and I'm guessing it probably was a couple of years since you've been gone from Sierra Leone, was there something that you missed from your home country?
Yeah, a lot. Just knowing that the feeling, that's one of the things that I miss. Just knowing that it's a place where I know I come from. Going back and I see a lot of development, a lot of like, obviously I heard about people that are still in that area where I grew up, and I kind of went and visited and saw a few of them. Yeah. But I would definitely say it's more like a free world where you're like, you're not restricted to a lot of things. So it was more that kind of freedom, knowing that even right now when there's COVID going on, it doesn't even seem like it's going on over there.
No masks, right? No masks.
With no mask, no nothing. It's just, it's a free world.
Yeah, of course. Could you take us, well, from what you remembered as a little kid, could you take us like through a day that you lived in Freetown? Like, what time would you wake up? Like, what did you do? You know?
Yeah, definitely. Usually it was more like I would wake up 7, cause school was at 8 in the morning. I would wake up 7.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we were not usually used to like kind of making breakfast in the morning. It was more like, here's some money, go get your breakfast on the way to school, stuff like that. Because obviously your parents also had to work, or they probably worked at night or sleeping that morning. So it wasn't like, oh, we're going to get up and make breakfast. So wake up, go to school. And then obviously we would have in between breaks where we also play football at school. From there I would come home, and then I would come and eat, and then also I'm back on the football field. Just going out there playing. It was just like a normal day. There was not a lot of like, okay, I have to do this and do that. It's just like a straight schedule: school, football, and come home, do your homework. That's it.
Of course.
Especially as a kid.
Yeah, most definitely. And then what surprised you, like coming to America, like was there something that surprised you? Maybe the culture, the food, the people, like was there something that surprised you coming to here to America?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously when I was growing up in Sierra Leone, we just used to think like America is just like literally like just two race, the whites and the black. We didn't used to think that there's Latinos, there's Filipinos, and all of that here until I came here and I realized like, oh wow, it's really diverse. So I saw that when I came here. Obviously, when I started going to school, I can see that that they teach in Spanish in school and stuff like that. So I would definitely say that's one of the diversity I came and saw. But obviously, growing up in a different environment, having to adapt and just get into that place where it's like, okay, it's a new place. Now I have to get along with certain people, create new friends, and kind of adapt to the environment.
Yeah, of course. Especially, I'm guessing, becoming hella good friends with Chuy.
Yes, that's my guy.
Of course. And if you could talk to us, about like what's your favorite type of music and food,
Well, it's for us as more like if you grow up in Africa, like really like as long as you like the beat to the song, sometimes you don't even have to care about what they're saying. Because I even have some Spanish, Mexican songs on my phone. I don't understand what they're saying, but obviously I like hip hop. There's also a thing called Afro beats, which comes from the African generation. I like Latin music, so I also love Jamaican music. A lot of people don't know, but reggae is my favorite kind of genre when it comes to music. My father was a huge fan of Bob Marley, and also a guy who's from South Africa named Lucky Dube. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. So I grew up around him, always listening to reggae. So I kind of like have that love for reggae music, and I love it. But obviously in that category, reggae music, hip hop, Afro beats, Latin music. It's like I like everything. As long as it sounds good to my ears, then I feel like I can kind of resonate with it.
Of course. And food-wise?
Oh, yeah. I'm very open-minded when it comes to like stuff like that because I'm not more of a picky guy. Obviously, my mom have her home like dishes that she make. We call it cassava leaves. I also love, after that, Spanish food is my favorite food. Obviously, I'm surrounded with mostly Mexicans. So during like when they have like holidays, like when I go back home, like Christmas and New Year's, they always make tamales, pozole, stuff like that. I love this stuff when they make it. So I could definitely say some of those food. There's more on the list, but a few of those I can definitely say.
Of course. And obviously going into a game, like do you have a playlist, like a list of songs that like to possibly like pump you up, like motivate you, or like is it more like calm music? Or do you even have anything?
Yeah, definitely. Music is what really kind of get me going. For training, it's just all around. That's how I start my day. But on game days, before I get there, I like to listen to stuff like kind of like high tempo, so it kind of get me going. Yeah. But then when I get to the stadium, when it's like that kind of hour or two left for the game, I kind of like lower it down a little bit, so that way I can kind of like, it's more like a motivational kind of music I'm listening to. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like inspiration, like people talking about how they grew up, and I feel like I can resonate with that, or I can sometimes listen to motivational speeches and stuff like that, and that's what gets me going.
Most definitely. What sacrifices has Augustine Williams done to be where you are today? You know, because us, the fans, only see you guys on the pitch for 90 minutes, and we don't see the behind the scenes, you know, like the sacrifices, you know, tears, like sweat and everything, you know, but in your case, what have you done?
Obviously, in this business, sports, whatever you want to call it, it requires sacrifice for you to get to the next level. And throughout it, it requires sacrifice. But I would say a few of my sacrifices that I made when I was 16 years old, I decided to wanted to leave my parents' home to move to San Diego. Wow. It wasn't an easy thing for my mother to understand just because I'm the youngest in the family. And then she was kind of worried, like, you're the youngest, you know what you're doing, you're leaving the home, you decided to leave, and she didn't understand it at first, but obviously she did let me go. Moving to San Diego, I had one season to prove myself. I was like, is either this or there's no return. So I went there, I ended up scoring 22 goals that year, and then from there, Portland saw me, but I could also reflect back on those 6 o'clock a.m. when I would wake up before school, go run the bleachers, go do some workouts, and then have to come back and get ready for school. And all of these sacrifices, I feel like, led to me being where I am today. So definitely, I feel like it plays a huge part and a huge role in my career. And obviously, the sacrifices doesn't stop. Yeah. So every off-season, I have to make sure I'm getting the work done and not just focusing on holidays and like, okay, it's off-season, let me rest. So I got to make that sacrifice to get going again.
Of course. And obviously, you're still very young, 23 years old. You're currently playing in the USL. But what are your short and long term goals? You know.
Definitely. My short term goal, obviously, right now, I feel like the season I've had, kind of a stepping stone for me to get into MLS. That's a starting point. But my dream has always been to go to Europe. But obviously, you have to start somewhere. So that's one of the things I would say. I want to obviously improve on my game, some of the things that I feel like I can improve on, keep working on it, and just have the mindset of always wanting to have that space to want to be better.
Yeah, most definitely. And after this dope season that you personally had, you know, with LA Galaxy too, from all the achievements that you accomplished, did you get any offers from abroad? You know, was there any talks?
I would just not really go into that too much, but obviously there's a big news coming, so obviously that's what I'm looking forward to. So obviously the work I've done kind of is gonna repay me paying off. So yeah, definitely there's been offers a lot, but obviously when it comes down to it, I'm gonna have to pick one.
Yeah, of course. And then obviously you're a center striker. Who has been the toughest defender that you've encountered on the pitch? You know, that possibly you couldn't pass, was always on you. You know, but in your case, has it been a toughest defender?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot of tough defenders. Even though I always put my mind framings before game day, like nobody's gonna stop me today at all. Yeah. That's just how I think. Yeah. But obviously, there's been like tough defender. I have a friend named Robert Castellano. He's another competitive guy. Since we also kind of grew up together in Nomads, we play together. So I would say there's a lot of players like Max that used to play for Portland Timbers. He's gonna sign with Roots now. There's guys like that, and also other friends that I know alongside in the league and stuff like that. So there's definitely tough opponents and stuff like that. But I just feel like they got to get tougher because last year they wasn't too tough for me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And then has there been the biggest trash talker on the pitch? You know, they always talk shit in your ear to try to throw you off your game. You know, as a striker, you know, I'm guessing there has been.
Yeah. There definitely is. Like, are you asking if there's people, or just like if there's someone specific?
Yeah, someone specific. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say one of the trash talkers I know for a fact, it would be Robert Castellano.
Same guy.
Yeah, it's him. But even before our games, like he just kept saying that you're gonna get locked down. You're gonna lock down. So I sent him a video again, like just be ready because I'm scoring, and I end up scoring that game. So, but I'm also I feel like it's part of the game.
Yeah.
Because I do that too a lot. Sometimes, when I feel like they're trying to get into my head, I have to make sure I get into their head.
Yeah.
And sometimes you could either be successful at it, or just sometimes you're just gonna meet someone who's like a brick wall. You're not gonna go through them no matter what you say.
Yeah.
So it's all part of the game. The trash talk, to try to get your opponent to kind of like lure him to where you want, and just make sure he's not focused on this game. He has to shift his focus on you now, or the trash you're talking, or him just trying to come foul you and retaliate, and hopefully you get the card out of that, and then you get your job done.
Most definitely. And obviously, you were raised here in the Bay Area, and obviously you've been in Los Angeles for 2 years now. But what do you like more, the Bay Area or Los Angeles?
It's crazy. I've been asked by this question even from people out here, but definitely the Bay Area. Definitely the Bay Area. The Bay. There's no place like that's home for me. That's I've known the Bay even more than I've known Sierra Leone, because that's where I grew up most of my life. But it's definitely the Bay Area. That's what I would definitely when it comes to the standpoint of like wanting to be home. That's definitely the Bay.
Of course. And then obviously, if you weren't to be a professional soccer player, Augustine, have you ever given thought like what could have been like your life if you weren't part of the soccer world?
Yeah, definitely. I would say business. Because when I was in Portland, I was going to school like 2 years before the transition to LA. Definitely in that mind frame where it's like I want to like own properties. I like an entrepreneur, a businessman. That's definitely a plan for me that I'm also working on. Because when I went to Sierra Leone, I saw a lot of opportunities that can open doors for me and stuff like that. But if I wasn't a footballer, I definitely think a business, that's what I would have started. But obviously the platform that I'm at right now is going to pave the way to open up that door for me when the right time comes for me to start investing and actually owning stuff.
Exactly. Did you finish school?
No, I didn't finish school yet. I did 2 years, but the transitioning from Portland to here had to make me stop again. But I'm starting soon.
Yeah,
because obviously, this obviously, as we all know, the sports that we're playing is not a forever thing. You might be after 35, after 36, you got another like 20, 30 more years or 40 more years to live. So
exactly. And obviously, something else the fans that don't know about Augustine Williams, something apart and outside of the soccer world that you could tell us.
Augustine is just more like a very calm, friendly guy. It's easy to kind of get to know me because I'm very open up. I don't come in and think like, okay, because I'm in this world or I've kind of made it into professional, I have to be this stuck-up person. I'm very open up. I associate with people. Even my friends back from high school, we're still friends. So it's just a cool, calm. Depending if you don't know me, I could be a shy person. If I don't know you that much, I can't be that much of an open, like kind of comfortable with you. But yeah, it's just a guy that loves to play the game and just like likes to associate with people and create friends and stuff like that. Meet new people because I've met a lot of friends.
Yeah.
It's not much like extraordinary stuff about me.
Of course. And then obviously you were born in Sierra Leone, raised in America. What do you identify more with? Being Sierra Leonean, if that's the correct way to say it, or
Sierra Leonean,
or more American.
It's funny for me. I even the people back home, they identify me as an American. Because when I went back home, I realized that we have this language called Creole. It's a broken English. Obviously, I tried to communicate it with them. They were like, you have an accent. You don't sound like us and stuff like that. They can tell right away just by looking at me like you're not. They just usually say you're not from here. But obviously, I grew up most of my life with the Bay Area. I could definitely say for me, I identify as both because I was born there, but I was raised there. But most people just identify me as a kid from the Bay Area.
Yeah, most definitely. And then obviously, if you could talk to us about, like how did you feel signing your first professional contract with the Portland Timbers too? Like, were you nervous? Like how did you feel?
Yeah, definitely. As a kid, as a 17-year-old, when I got there, I was very nervous, just knowing that even though I knew I had done good where I was, but I knew this was like a whole different level. Me getting there and meeting players that are as fast as I am, as strong as I am, or even faster than I am, have more experience in the professional world, more than me. So I was very nervous, but obviously, when I went there, I met people that I kind of was like, okay, you're here, just make sure you know what you're supposed to do to get the job done. It's football. You love to play and have fun.
Yeah.
Just do that and just be you. So it was very nerve wracking, but obviously it was very exciting knowing that I went there and got the job done and I was offered my first contract. So, I just look at it like, okay, all this hard work I've done actually paid up, and my family was just happy to see that all the work that I've done over the years, I can kind of see it coming into reality.
Of course. Do you remember your debut with Portland Timbers? Like, were you nervous? Like, do you remember like who you guys were playing against?
Yeah, definitely. I was nervous. My first professional game was against Colorado Switchbacks, kind of like the affiliates for Colorado Rapids.
Yeah.
So it was a home game. So obviously I ended up coming in the second half late in the game. I was very nervous, but obviously when I kind of got in there and I was in between excited and nervous, but when I touched the ball and the weight all on my shoulder just kind of like went away, and it was just like, just play, be you.
Of course. Your favorite game with Portland Timbers too?
There's been a lot, but if I would have to pick, it would be the game against FC St. Pauli. It's a second division team from Germany. So it was I scored a brace in that game. It was definitely one of those learning experience where like you have that motivation to come because it's an outside team.
Yeah.
And just to come there and obviously do so well, I would definitely say that's one of my favorite games. But there's also been games where I'm very excited that I did what I did in those games, and that was definitely, but that would be number one.
Of course. How was your overall experience playing for Portland Timbers too? A great team.
Yeah, definitely. It was great. My time there, it was definitely something that I can look back and say I had great memories of. I have nothing to say but good things about Portland just because they gave me an opportunity as a kid to kind of accomplish my dream and make sure my dream come into a reality. It was definitely, I loved the city. I learned a lot in that city, made friends, created good relationships with people. So I loved every second that I was there. And obviously when it was time for me to transition, it was only like something that I wanted to do for the betterment of myself. So it's just part of the business.
Of course. Did you want to leave Portland Timbers too when you left, or did you want to stay?
Well, it was in between, but more it was like, okay, I've been here. I felt like I have done what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So it was like more like, okay, let's go somewhere else and see what we can get out of it. So it was. I wanted to stay in the city because it's a beautiful city. It's cheaper to leave, obviously, than in LA. But yeah, it was when it was time to leave. I was leaving a lot of things behind, friends and people that I also created and consider them family. Yeah. But it was just time for me to move, and me and my agents just came trying to give me, it's time for you to go try your luck somewhere else.
How was it training with the first team? With Diego Chara, Valeri, possibly the goalkeeper Kwarzi from Ghana. Like how was that overall experience? Great players. Yeah,
it was great players. Like guys, like when you look at guys like Valeri, like wow, like he's considered a legend on that team, and then just for him to be that kind of a humble person that he is, and he just like you can literally come to the guy and you can have a whole conversation with you, and same as Diego Chara and stuff like that. Those guys when you're there, and even though you don't play up the same position as them, but you just look up to them like, okay, even though they've done so many accomplishments, but they can still be that humbling, and it's a motive. It's a thing that you want to become, and look at that like, okay, I love those traits, and then I should be like that way as a person. So it was definitely an exciting. When I would do things a different way, they would advise me, you could do it this way. You should do it a little bit faster than that. Yeah. Make sure you're checking over your shoulder and just make sure because in the professional world, it's quicker and stuff like that.
Most definitely. And obviously, you got called up to the main national team of Sierra Leone. But if you could talk to us, about like who has been your best teammate so far on the national team and also on the club level.
I would definitely say on the club level, this was like in Portland. I created a friend called, and obviously Chewy and them are my day one boys and stuff like that. They're family, but also in this kind of perspective, it was a guy named Andre Lewis, a Jamaican guy.
Oh my God.
When I got to Portland, he was one of the guys that said that just like kind of like took all the weight off my shoulder. Like, okay, yeah, B, you just play. Like, I heard they say you can play, right? So you got to come in here and prove it, or just be you and stuff like that, and just relax. And he kind of showed me around and kind of made me comfortable because he's been there 2 years prior to me getting there.
Yeah.
So definitely, Andre, even till this day, even though we don't play in the same club anymore, but we still keep in contact and just making sure that we see each other through the cellular phone and making sure that me and him were doing great and trying to progress in what we're doing.
And on the national team?
I would definitely say Kai Kamara on the national team.
A legend.
Because I don't know much of those guys there like that. But I also met another guy named Rodney Strasser. He actually played for AC Milan with Rubino.
Yep.
You know who that is?
I know who he is. Yep, the center, the midfielder.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that also like that kind of been close with me and just advising me, and like he's like, I like the way you're playing, just keep it going. So guys like Kai Kamara, we play the same position. He kind of advised me on certain things that I can do, how not to overrun, how to be certain places, making sure I don't overdo what I'm supposed to do and I can do it the smarter way.
Most definitely. And obviously as a soccer player, you know, like us, the fans tend to think that you guys live lavishly with cars, women, and money and everything like that, you know. But what has been the toughest moment in your career so far?
I would definitely say at a young age, it was more like how to be spend money in a wisely manner. Definitely, that's when I was 18, 19, even at the age of 20. Yeah. It was more like, oh, if you see something you like, you just buy it. You never thought about, okay, do I need it or do I want it?
Exactly.
So it's more like that. And then at the end, you look at it and be like, okay, like I didn't really need this stuff. So I would definitely say that. And then also the distraction, obviously when it comes to the women part, just making sure you're trying to be focused and stuff like that. Because even if you're not going to it, it's going to come to you. It's just natural. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just the distraction of making sure that you have a vision that you're trying to pursue, and making sure that you don't kind of ruin it at a young age, because we have seen people that have ruined their career based on the choices that they've made and stuff like that. And we try not to kind of make that same mistake again for us.
Exactly. And obviously, you're a forward, but in your opinion, Augustine, who has been the best forward in Sierra Leone history, talking about the men's national team? Pretty sure it might be an easy question.
I think for me, it's Mohamed Colon. Mohamed Colon. He played at Monaco. Also, he played at Inter Milan with Ronaldo. So I would say for me, it's him. Obviously, he was like one of those guys back then when they had training. He had 30,000 people come out just to watch him. Like, there would be traffic and stuff like that. Obviously, now there's no one that's really doing that in Sierra Leone, like stopping traffic or kind of like 30, 40,000 people when there's training. So I would definitely say he was that guy.
Of course. And how many tattoos do you have, and which one is like the most significant one to you?
Well, all my tattoos, obviously, what people don't really know is like, I come from a family that all of this is not even like something that I was supposed to do, because my mom is very religious. So when I decided to create my tattoos, I just wanted to make sure it's something that I won't regret having on my skin. Yeah. Because it's a permanent thing. Obviously, I have a lion. I have a Nelson Mandela quote. I have like a Bible verse. I have this other tattoo that says, "These too shall pass." It kind of reminds me if I'm going through tough time, like it'll pass. Yeah. Obviously, I have another tattoo like in the Bible. It says, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." All of those things, and I it's more like I'm thinking to have more, but it's just that usually whenever I have another one, I have to sit with my mom and have this long lectures and stuff. So that's the thing.
Yeah, of course. How many do you have total? Maybe 15?
Nah, less than that. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like about 8.
You plan on getting more or no?
I don't know yet. I have no idea of what I want yet. Maybe in the future, my kids or maybe my mom's name or something like that, something that's really meaningful to me. But as of now, I'm just waiting. There is no rush because it's just something you could do whenever.
Of course. And obviously, from what I saw, I know that you met Marcelo, obviously a legend from Real Madrid.
Yeah,
if you could talk to us about that great experience, like, did you guys talk?
Yeah, definitely. When I was, I think it was 14, I had to go on this. It was more like not a really trial thing, but more like a camp, a training camp in Madrid. Oh, wow. I went there. We were training at the facility. Obviously, I met a friend there whose dad kind of was like a close friend from Marcelo. And then he's like, can you come with me? We can meet him and stuff like that. And it was like, I was in disbelief standing to the guys like that, knowing that, wow, this is Marcelo, you know what I mean? Yeah. So obviously I played it cool and just making sure he doesn't like, oh, okay, this guy is like being weird or he's just like overexcited. But it was definitely, you could see, like, it was like, I was just like in disbelief, but I was a young kid at the time. Obviously I'm a huge fan of him. So just seeing him and I also asking a few questions and obviously what does he take and stuff like that. Obviously dedication. He talked about his little life coming from Brazil and stuff like that as well. But it was great. Obviously I watched them play also against Atletico Madrid, even though they lost that game. Yeah. But it was definitely all around a great experience. Seeing guys like that, world class player. So it's an experience and memories that I have with me. So definitely.
Did you meet anybody else, or was it just Marcelo?
No, I met the whole team. But it was Ronaldo, more like
Benzema.
Yeah, all of them. I met them all. We were at the facility. I saw Zidane come out, walk past, and stuff like that. We watched them train, obviously, but I didn't have like that conversation like I have with them with Marcelo. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was more like I can see them, but I wasn't that close. Okay. It was more like So, but we met them. They were talking from a little bit like of a distance. So all of that. So, but it wasn't like, okay, Marcelo was the one that actually came close. We took a picture together and stuff like that.
Yeah. And what does Augustine Williams do in his free time when you're not training, like when you're not getting ready for game day?
Definitely. So usually sometimes when I come back from training, depends on how I'm feeling, how my body's feeling. I'm extremely tired. If it's an overload day, I would come take a nap, wake up, and then try to grab something to eat. If I'm feeling like I just want to go around, explore the city, I would go around and do that. Or maybe I would read, watch a movie, and stuff like that. Yeah. But obviously, I don't go out a lot in LA because you know how the traffic is here. You have to kind of set your time when to leave, or you will be stuck in traffic forever. So mostly I'm more indoors and stuff like that. On the weekends, I would go out, like I would go to the beach and stuff like that, and just kind of feel the sun. You know, it's California. It's not like snowing out here or things like that.
Exactly. No COD, no FIFA, no nothing, no 2K.
Oh yeah, definitely FIFA. Definitely FIFA. But with me now, it's just different. I try not to spend so much time on a video game because I feel like I'm not being productive with my time. Yeah. So there's days when I have my friends over, like we would play video game for 2-3 hours, but by myself, I just won't be on the video game for that long. Yeah. I'll probably be on it for like an hour and a half, and then I get off. But mostly it's FIFA. I also play Mortal Kombat. Not really at COD. I'm not good at it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm not. I've never been. But I like playing adventure games and stuff like car racing games and like UFC. I play that as well.
Hell yeah.
So definitely. But FIFA is the number one thing that I'm usually on most of the time.
Of course, and obviously, when you started gaining, you know, like good money, like good income. Do you remember what you purchased with the first good check that you received?
Well, the first, like when I started making good money, the first thing I did was not really buy anything. Was more like pay for my sister's school. Oh wow! So she was in college. That's the first thing I did, obviously. And then after that, I bought a car because when my first car was like a 2006 Toyota Camry. I didn't care about it. But obviously after her school year was done, that's when I actually bought myself a car and I bought my first iPhone because I still had the Android phone.
Me too.
Yeah. And I bought the iPhone, and then from there it was just like okay. And then obviously sometimes I see stuff that, but like I said, when I was young, I was like, money management was a tough thing. But now, obviously, the advice and help that I've gotten kind of got me in a better situation. Just knowing that okay, you can actually invest your money somewhere else that can kind of like replenish it for you in the future.
Of course. What car did you buy?
The first car I actually bought was, apart from the Camry, was a Kia Optima. Was a Kia Optima. It was a 2000 and the time was 2018. That's when I bought that car. And then after that, I traded in and got the EXL, the Honda Accord EXL.
Oh, okay, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
And then obviously in 2019 you signed with Galaxy 2. You know, so far you spent 2 seasons with the institution. How do you feel? You know, like representing Los Angeles and even playing for LA Galaxy 2.
Definitely, I feel great. And even though I've been here for a short period of time than I did in Portland, I've had more success here just because I've been given the freedom to morally express myself. Yeah. And especially this last year, they built the team around me. So I've definitely had obviously my fun here, and then I love being here. I love playing for the club. So there's always, like I said, always good memories and that I've created. I had a great season last year. Everyone was in support of just like, yo, get Augie to win this, get Augie to become player of the month, get, like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So everyone was just behind me like, yo, we're going to make sure you just accomplish as much as you can.
Of course. Who's the funniest and shyest within the LA Galaxy 2 locker room?
Wow. That's like... The funniest, last year would be Adrian Vetter. He was the funniest. Yeah, Adrian Vetter is the funniest. He's just one of those guys that don't even try to be funny. And it's just there. The shyest, I would have to say, would be Isaac Bawa. He's the shyest on the team.
Oh, from Ghana.
Yeah, he's the shyest. Oh, you know he's from Ghana?
Yeah. Another African, right?
Yeah, he's the shyest on the team.
Of course.
Yeah.
Who has the worst and best fashion?
Wow, the worst. I mean, it depends. Like, obviously, fashion, it depends on your taste. Yeah. But for me, the worst fashion would be Zubac.
The forward.
Zubac, yeah. Like, for me, he just cannot dress. Obviously, the best fashion is the few people on the team. Obviously, you have me. You have just a few names, guys like Georgie, Cuevas, Adam, Isaac also dressed a little bit, but he doesn't try to go overboard with it like I would. Yeah. But I just feel like it's just into what you want and what you like. Honestly, it's just the person that you are. Obviously, there's people that you just see what they wear, and it's like, okay, these definitely don't go together. But it's more like what you like and just your taste. That's all.
Exactly. And obviously, LA Galaxy have signed like superstars, you know, like Chicharito, Zlatan, Giovanni Dos Santos, Jonathan. I'm pretty sure you've trained with all of them. You know, like if you could talk to us about playing with Zlatan, with Chicharo, Gio, you know, like how do you like intake all those great experiences, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Because when you look at those guys, especially those two names that you have mentioned, they play the same position for a guy like myself. Exactly. And as a young guy, looking at guys like Ibrahimovic playing in AC Milan, also playing in Manchester United, and also Chicharito that has played there and played in Madrid, be like, yeah, I would love to be at the position that they have. So it's just like talking to them and seeing what it takes. Obviously, Zlatan was more like not a guy that you can actually feel comfortable talking to because he didn't give you that platform. But Chicharito is definitely more of an open guy. He communicates, he talks to everyone. He's more like you could come to him and have a conversation with him, like sit and talk for like 30, 40 minutes. You'll be okay with that. But Zlatan is not that kind of a guy. He's more like a short conversation. He'll give you probably 5 minutes. That's about it. But on the field, just looking at him, you can learn a lot. Like body position, movement, and just timing, all of that stuff. So you can learn a lot from those people and stuff like that. And as a guy like myself, I'm in a position right now where only thing I could do is learn.
Exactly.
And implement those in the game when I also get my chance.
What was the best piece of advice from Zlatan and Chicharito?
Well, I feel like Zlatan, he was more like you have to be an aggressive, as aggressive and be having that mindset of a dominant striker. Definitely, because he's more like, you talk about the lion thing and then lion to human, all of that stuff. So he has so that's the mindset I had, especially in 2020. Like I have to be aggressive. I have to have that mindset that every game I'm going to score. Obviously, Chicharito is more like your runs and stuff like that because he's more like a guy that likes to make runs. So and I like that as well. So it was like just making sure if you look again in the MLS tournament, he scored a really nice goal. And the movement was I forgot what team it was, but it was a great move and stuff like that. And
I think.
Yeah, I think it was Portland too. It was a great run. And when you look at those, you're like, okay, those are great runs because you come off on the guy's left shoulder. By the time he turns, you coming in front of him, and his reaction is already too late. And by the time he's trying to adjust the ball, it's already in the back of the net.
Exactly.
So like things like that, you look at it like, okay, I can do those. I can also work on those if it's not my strength, or if I can't do it as good as he is, but also work on it and try to implement it as much as I can in training and just try it in games.
Exactly. Why the number 48?
Honestly, the 48 was I was trying to get 80, but in LA they don't give you that much of a big number. So they only stop like 50 like I think 60. That's where they stop. But obviously, knowing that Max he has 48, and he always talk about first 48, and then there was an 8 in that number. So obviously, I had to go with 48, which was like obviously to keep one of the numbers that I like, because I couldn't get 80.
Most definitely. The best game so far with LA Galaxy 2?
The best game so far with LA Galaxy 2. I feel like there's been a lot, but if I would have to pick, I would definitely say one of them is against Portland Timbers when I went back to Portland.
How you scored?
Yes, I had a brace there. I would also say the game against Orange County when I was supposed to score that brace at home. So those two, I would have to definitely pinpoint them as like the two best games. I've also have a lot of exciting other games and stuff like that. But those two is what I would have to pick.
Of course. And obviously you told us earlier that you might not, or I don't know, this is how I took it. So you might not be with LA Galaxy 2 this season, right? Because you said that there's big news coming. So your future is undecisive right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what is being worked on. Obviously, there's a lot of things that have to come into play, money situations, and obviously I live in LA, so all of those stuff. So we'll see. I mean, that's my agent job. That's why he gets paid to get the job done. So when he gets the job done, you guys will know soon.
Is it possibly abroad?
It could be. Definitely it could be. But obviously, depends on LA. If they come to an agreement with LA on money terms, obviously, because I won't be leaving for free if I do leave. But definitely, that's what it would have to come down to.
Most definitely. And obviously, 2020 was crazy with COVID and everything, But for you, it seemed like it didn't even freaking affect you, Because you get Player of the Year, you get Player of the Month, and then you obviously make the first team for All League. How did you manage to cope with everything that was going on outside the world, to stay focused, to be, like very concentrated in what you were doing and accomplishing hella things,
I would definitely say that's where we come back to the sacrifice part, because our team was hit with the COVID. 10 players had it. Luckily, I wasn't in that category of the players that had it. So when the season came to a point when we had to stop playing for a little bit, and then everyone was thinking about there might not be a season anymore, and so many players already had it in their mind. So when they gave us that little break so you guys can go home until we decide, me going home was not really to come and rest. It was like at that point I was like, okay, in my mind I had it that we were going to come back. So I was like, how can I be more ahead of the guys that are already coming back? How can I stand out? How can I be more fit? How can I be more effective?
Yeah.
So when I went home, that's when I started training. And by the time I came back, I feel like I can feel it, like I was ready.
Yeah.
And when we started going, I started scoring, and everything was just like, she started coming. You know, as a striker, when you start scoring, the momentum comes.
Yeah.
The excitement of I want to do it again, and the motivation, and it all just comes in play like that. So I would definitely say when I kept going, and when I hear people saying that you're doing great, it's a feeling you don't want to stop. Yeah. You just want to keep going.
Yeah.
And when you're doing good, they love you, so you want to make them love you more. So I just kept scoring.
Of course. And then for those that don't know, how many goals did you score in total?
I scored last year 13 goals. I was 1 goal away from winning the Golden Boot.
Of course. Then obviously,
and I feel like I could have won it.
Yeah.
But there's one game that they made me came on like a second half.
Yeah.
And that's the game I felt like I scored that game, but I feel like if I would have scored another one again, I would have definitely won it.
Of course.
But obviously there's obviously more room to obviously accomplish more on the road. Yeah. That's just in the past now.
Of course. And obviously, if you could talk to us, like about winning Player of the Year, putting Sierra Leone on the map, like that's a huge achievement, like from the whole league,
Right. Definitely, it's a great achievement that I can definitely say I'm proud of. Yeah. It took a lot of dedication and hard work, but it feels great knowing that I've come to a club that have given me an opportunity to actually express myself and a platform to showcase myself, and I took full advantage of that.
Yeah.
So it's something I could definitely say I'm proud of, and it opened a door for Sierra Leone to also call me, because before that, a lot of people didn't even know who Augustine was from Sierra Leone. Yeah. They didn't even know who I was, because my name was, like I said, I didn't grow up there. My name was not really in the system. So, like I said, it opened a door for me. It paved way for opportunities for me, not only in Sierra Leone, but also in the U.S. Yeah. So it's definitely an achievement that I can look back when all of this is done and say, like, tell my kids about it, like, it was like once a Player of the Year and stuff like that, and all of that stuff.
Of course. And obviously, how was it playing during COVID, with no fans, getting hella tests and everything, like, how was all of that?
Yeah, it's like, there's a whole lot of headache, and I feel like we might deal with it this year again.
Yeah.
But it was more like some games that would come, they were like, oh, this game is canceled. 2 players on that team got COVID and stuff like that. So you had to deal with that, and then it was like you always like kind of have to look over your shoulders, because there was guys who had girlfriends whose girlfriend went to work and associate with other people. Yeah. So they have to come back, and then you have to be like cautious. Or like sometimes you see video of a guy that was like at the beach, and then you see a couple of people around him, and then the next day you come, you're like, okay, I want to see how his next test come out before I can really come close to him. So stuff like that. Yeah. We were just in that crazy bubble, and obviously, hopefully things get better this year, but we'll see how it turns out to be.
Of course. And was there something that you learned about yourself, something new that you learned about yourself during quarantine and everything in 2020?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say it kind of made people kind of realize a lot about what we have when it's there and when it's gone. You know what I mean? That freedom we have to be kind of like do what the things that we love and be around the people we love. Now we don't have that.
Yeah.
That kind of opportunities and stuff like that. So, and it's kind of like in a way where you think about it and be appreciative. And obviously a lot of people lost their lives, and they can look back and be like, wow, this is crazy, because some people might have said like, oh, I never appreciate those people when they were around. Now they're no more.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, we're in a crazy time when you don't know what could happen to your families and stuff like that. So you have to make every moment count at this.
Exactly.
Specifically, because you don't know this, like it's crazy, it can affect anybody.
Of course.
So and it's just scary what we're in right now.
Most definitely. And obviously being another man of color, like, what are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement? Because from George Floyd being murdered, and Breonna Taylor, and all these different things that have been occurring to to African Americans, you know, and it hasn't just been now; it's been for hell on for years, you know. And you yourself like have posted about certain things on your social media. But what are your thoughts on this? And is we haven't really seen any change, you know?
Right. I just honestly, in my opinion, I just think it's a shame that we're still dealing with stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I feel like in all these years, it's stuff that we should move past, knowing that we're looking at people because of their colors or judging people based on their colors. At the end of the day, I just look at everyone as a human being. I don't see why we cannot come together. And obviously, when we come together, we're stronger than when we're divided.
Exactly.
So I feel like it's just something that hopefully in the future can definitely change and definitely not judge someone by the pigmentation of their skin or whatever, because you might not know that person. You don't know the situation where that person come from, what they're dealing with and stuff like that. So with the police brutality, it's kind of, obviously it was crazy because there was a lot of like chaos stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I felt like obviously, hopefully that can bring attention to the world and to people that a lot of people are angry when stuff like this happen.
Yeah.
And we just got to be better. We just got to do a better job from all around, from everyone, just making sure that things like this don't happen and the people who don't do their job be held accountable for their actions.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever participate in the protests yourself? Or
Yeah, definitely. I was out here and I participated when the COVID was going on. Obviously, it wasn't a good idea to kind of be around and putting a lot of players in danger because I was associated with so many other people.
Yeah.
But if I look at it past it, like it's a bigger cause. It's
Exactly.
beyond me. It's like
it's beyond soccer.
We're all marching for a positive change and making sure that our voices are being heard in a peaceful way. So it was just that's how I look at it, and I just had to go out there and also support the cause and making sure that the movement is being heard and respected and making sure there's change.
Of course. And obviously, from the various goals that you've scored, which has been your best goal? And do you like celebrating your goals? And if you do, how do you usually celebrate them?
Yeah, that one is a crazy one because a lot of people always kind of give me an idea like, oh, you should celebrate your goals like this next time. But it's usually like the Thierry Henry, like the jumping and the fist in the air, like a common celebration that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can switch it up depending on if someone gives me an idea or whatnot.
Yeah.
But my favorite goal, I would say, one of them was against, the favorite one overall was against Orange County when I kind of came in deep. The ball was played to me by Johnny. I played down the line to Georgie, and then he kind of cut back with the inside of his foot, and then I just saw the goalkeeper trying to cheat, and then I just took a shot with the outside of my foot, and just like while he's moving, he tried to adjust again, but it was too late. I would say that's my favorite one. I also scored a goal against Las Vegas Lights, because when I scored one goal against Orange County, Kai was like, do you think you could have bent the ball like Thierry Henry? I was like, but I did score the goal. He's like, yeah, but if you look at it in tougher leagues, a goalkeeper might save that. So he gave me the idea. So I kind of came in that position where I had a moment like that, and I just thought about it. And then first time the ball came, Adrian Vera played a long ball to me. I kind of like had a battle with the center back, but I lost him, and then the ball came right in front of me, and I was able to bend it. And I just like it just all the way around. And then Kyle was like, stuff like that. It's just like something you have to think about and just apply it.
Of course. Would you ever consider, celebrating like Mario Balotelli did when he scored with Marseille, going on Instagram Live, or no? that would be pretty savage, bro.
Oh yeah, that's a funny one. That would be a great one, honestly.
That'd be dope.
You just gotta have someone you give your phone to, and then they're paying attention when you score, because you don't want to come and start looking for them, like, and then everyone's looking at you like, what is he doing?
Exactly. And then obviously, as a little kid, was there someone that you admired? Possibly your parents. Was there someone in the soccer world?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up like my dad is a huge Arsenal fan. Yeah, even though they're struggling a lot right now. So I grew up around watching Thierry Henry, so that's my favorite striker. obviously there's also people that I've come across with that I see right now that also motivate me. Kai Kamara, I look at guys like Zardes, guys that play as a striker as well. But definitely Derrick Henry is my biggest like motivation. Just knowing that it's something I like about him that I feel like kind of stands out and I resonate with. So I watch videos of him, and also I watch all the other videos of Lewandowski and stuff like that. Yeah. Making sure I can apply those things that those huge world-class strikers are trying to do. Because before they were world-class, they was at some point not world-class. They have to do things over and over and get it right to get them where they're at.
Exactly, most definitely. And obviously being African, and obviously Africa has produced hella good strikers, Samuel Eto'o, Drogba, Okaka, you know, like other big stars. But in your opinion, who has been the best African striker?
Who is the best African striker? Wow, that's a tough one. Because obviously, when you look at it and you compare, most of those guys play in a different way. Yeah. Like at some point, Drogba was just like a goal machine. Yeah. And then, but for me, I would say Samuel Eto'o. For me, yeah, because this guy, when he was in Barcelona, was tearing it up, and right after that, he left and go to Inter Milan. Yeah. He did the same thing, and he has won so much trophies and accomplished so much great things. But obviously, Drogba is also a monster and stuff like that. So when you look at Asamoah Gyan as well for Ghana, guys like that, it's just crazy. Those are guys are like Yaya Toure and
George Weah.
All of those, George Weah, Ballon d'Or. So obviously, I didn't grow up in that era, but if you kind of want to base it on accomplishment, then you start from like, okay, George Weah has the Ballon d'Or. This guy, none of them have it. But if you look at also like collectively what they've done, you're like, oh, someone else has more trophies than Didier Drogba and stuff like that. For me, as coming from a striker standpoint, for me it would be Samuel Eto'o. Just being a striker, knowing that this guy is a goal machine. He literally used to score goals like it was for fun.
Yeah, most definitely. And in your opinion, Agustin, what do you think African teams need to do to keep their talent? You know, because as we've seen in the recent years, Samuel Umtiti, who plays for Barcelona, was born in Cameroon, chose France. Mandanda, who's the keeper for France, was born in DR Congo. You know, and imagine if all these African players would actually play for the African teams. You know, like, but in your opinion, what do you think these teams need to do to keep their talent?
I just feel like we have to create a platform where it gives these guys more opportunity that they can excel in the national team, and then because obviously if you excel in the national team, it opens doors for other places as well. Like when you look at Ansu, he could have went and played for his country where he was born, but he chose. He chose a better opportunity that would better him for his career. Yeah. It's not something you look at it as a negative thing, but also something that you want to come to that realization, like, okay, he's doing it, so he can have a longer career and stuff like that. But I just feel like it's the opportunity standpoint when it comes to those opportunities. Players look at like, where can I have more opportunity at success, or where can I play more and have more chances or stuff like that. That's what you look at it. But Africa has a lot of talent, and I feel like if all those players in France were to come together and it would be a whole lot of force that most of these European teams might not even be able to stop. But when we're all separated, like I said, when you come together, you're stronger. But when you're separated, we're like divided. So that's why you have guys like Pogba playing for France. All those guys, they're all like their mom and dad. Even if they were not born in Africa, they're Africans.
Exactly. Like, imagine if all the African players that have descent or even are actually African, you know, France wouldn't even be France.
Yeah, imagine if Mbappe was playing for Cameroon.
Oh my gosh. Imagine N'Golo Kante playing for Mali, bro. Oh.
Yeah. It would be crazy.
It would be crazy.
But those guys, they just look at it from a perspective like, France would give them more opportunity than Mali would give Kante, or Cameroon would give to because I don't think in the reality, I don't think Mbappe would be a big of a player as he is playing for Cameroon than playing for France. So I think that's what they look at and be like, okay, that's what some players look at it and that perspective and that way. But every player have their reasoning for what they do, So you can't really judge a man from where he's coming from.
Exactly. And obviously in November of 2020, I'm pretty sure it was a great experience. You get called up for the first time ever by the Sierra Leone men's national team. How were you surprised?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you take this? You know, like, how did you even find out about it?
Well, it was for me. It was more like I wasn't even looking forward to that. Like, I'm trying to do good so I can get called up. It was more like I wanted to have a great season up so I can make the next jump from playing second division to going up. So that's where my motivation was coming from. But it was an exciting feeling when I first got a call. Obviously, it was a DM from Mohamed Colon saying he wanted to talk to me and stuff like that. And also, we exchanged number. He called me on a Zoom call saying that, what do I think about one day coming home? I was like, I mean, I would love that. I haven't been home for a while. So kind of talking to Kai Kamara and then kind of getting that first call from the head coach. It was just a feeling like, okay, like this is like me knowing that they recognize what I've done and they see it. And I never knew that there were eyes looking at me in that kind of perspective. So it was just an exciting feeling knowing that I've gotten the first call. And I'm also going back home. And also, obviously, I have to be ready because playing in Africa is different. You're dealing with the heat. You're dealing with time difference. You got to adapt. So I have to be ready for all of that stuff. But it's definitely a great feeling knowing I got called up and going to represent a nation that I consider myself being from.
What surprised you most, you know, like being part of the Sierra Leone men's national team? Because I'm pretty sure it's hella different from being and playing in Los Angeles, you know? But like, what surprised you?
Honestly, just knowing that I was playing with some of these players I didn't even know about that had played for big clubs.
How'd you come
but
out
when I got there, like the intensity is way faster than right here where I'm playing. Like it's way faster. Obviously, some of the pitches we train on are not the greatest. But you can see that players that are having no problem with it. Like it's nothing for them. So I have to adapt to that. Like, okay, the ball might bounce and stuff like that, and adapt into it. But definitely the intensity, adapting to the heat, adapting to the culture, and just knowing that the people in Africa demands a lot. Because sometimes if you don't perform, there's been players that did perform, like they had to hide them to sneak them out of the stadium, like because the fans were literally ready to like kind of kill him and stuff like that. Or either authorities will come and kind of like wait for everything to die out and then let him out. So the fans a lot. And if you kind of don't deliver, it's like a love and hate thing. When you're doing good, they love you. When you don't,
it's tough.
They're gonna come down on you really hard. It's really tough.
And then obviously the both matches that you get called up wasn't against any opponent. You know, it was against Nigeria. You know, if you could talk to us about the crazy comeback, being in that dope environment, seeing Musa, Yenacho, you know, indeed, like crazy. Like you could talk to us about that great experience against Nigeria.
It's definitely a great experience because I've seen those guys play on TV, like Leicester City, Arsenal, Iwobi. So when you get the chance of like being on the same field as them, you kind of look at yourself and be like, okay, maybe I'm doing something good, or it's a great feeling, like, okay, like, but also you got to look at it from a perspective where it's like it's a competition where you're trying to make your nation exceed, go forward. But it was a great experience in all, playing against Nigeria. Unfortunately, I couldn't make my debut. Obviously, but obviously, hopefully I can get a call again for the next African Cup of Nation qualification that's coming up in March. But it was all around a great experience, and I loved every bit of it.
Crazy comeback, huh?
Yeah, crazy comeback. Like, it was just like, I felt like, for me, in my opinion, it's just like, because there's some home-based players that were on the starting lineup. When they looked at the Nigerian squad, they were kind of like,
kind of nervous?
In awe, like not nervous, but more like it's like when you're playing against like Benzema, you're like, wow, damn, this is Benzema. So you're kind of like a fan before you become a competitor. So when that 4-0 hit us, so we had to kind of like snap out of like that moment, like, oh, like no, we have to play. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I felt like they would have let the time go longer than if they would have let it go, we would have definitely come back and win that game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, most definitely. And how was it, like having the gear on, like living the actual environment, like coming out of the tunnel, singing the national anthem?
Yeah, it's definitely, especially in Sierra Leone, even though there was no fans, but it gives you that joy and that kind of like feeling like, yo, like, it's just home and we have to protect it. Mm-hmm. So it's an exciting feeling. You're motivated. You have your family you're looking up to. Yeah. You have your nation that's looking up to you, that you want to kind of make them be proud of you. So it's definitely a great feeling. Like I said, playing against players like that, you wanna come in that full gear. Like, yeah, it's time to compete. Let's compete.
Mm-hmm. Did you talk to any of them after the game? Because I saw Kate Kamara take a picture with you and Nacho.
Yeah, no, we saw them before the game. We came when we viewed the pitch, and we all have like that kind of like conversation and stuff like that. Wow. For me, now I was just locked in. I wasn't even thinking about a picture, so I was like, okay, we could call talk and stuff like that. But if after the game and stuff like that, we could take a picture or not. But obviously after the game, they were already like, I was trying to take a picture after the game. I had that mindset, but after the game, they were already angry because of the way we come back.
True.
So I had no chance to really see them.
Of course. And then how did your teammates receive you? Because like you said, you didn't know much of the players, but how did the players like receive you to the national team?
Definitely. At first, it was like more like, okay, this is a new kid. We've seen what he's done playing for LA Galaxy, but they like, well, he comes from LA Galaxy too. What can he do? This is the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but definitely it made my stay there kind of like more, I would say, weight off my shoulder.
Yeah.
Because when Kai arrived, because I got there before Kai.
Yeah.
And when you have Mustafa Dumbuya that used to play for Phoenix Rising also. Those guys are kind of saying like, just settle in and whatever you need, we got you. You know what I mean? Whatever kind of advice and help. And then the coach made it easier. And also I met Rodney Strasser and Mustafa Dumbuya that was playing for Anderlecht, who's on a loan right now. Mm-hmm. Guys like that made everything kind of smooth for me, just because they were like, yeah, like, just be yourself and just, you're welcome to the team, knowing that we're excited that you're here and we're in support of you to do good.
Of course. Then so do you see yourself being called up against the games against the Soto and Benin in March?
Definitely, but also it depends on what LA Galaxy is gonna want to do, because they could be like, well, we're just starting preseason or whatever, wherever I'm at. But obviously I'm looking forward to a call and hopefully I can go. But I would love to go back and just know that I have another chance again to hopefully make my debut.
Of course. And obviously, you went back to Sierra Leone in Christmas, finding your roots, like, how was that,
It was definitely a great experience. Because when I went there, it was strictly to play ball. Yeah. So I didn't have the luxury to explore and see some of my family I haven't seen for more than a decade.
Yeah.
So when I came back, I was like, okay, we're going to go on a holiday. So I can go back but I was kind of debating, like, if I go back, I want to train. So when I hired a trainer, I found someone who can connect me to a trainer. I hired a trainer and he made sure that I was going to get the work done and make sure I worked. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'm going there. I'm going to be working out. And also I'm going to be on the vacation to see my family. So when all of that came into play, I just made my mind, yeah, I'm going back.
Yeah.
So I went back. I saw my family. Obviously, where I was actually born, I don't really know how it looks like because I left at the age of 1 to move to another city, and then at the age of 6, that's when I moved. So I never got the chance to actually go there again. So hopefully, when I can go back, hopefully I can see how it is and how it looks, because I've heard a lot of stories about it, but I just don't know how it looks like.
Of course. And if you could talk to us about, giving back to the kids, because you post on Instagram, hella kids with new soccer cleats. It's always good to give back, because everybody has a humble beginning,
Right. Definitely. I would definitely say, because I know I once come from that position where, because even I could not afford, even when I was in America, I couldn't afford new cleats, like actually real cleats, till at the age of 16 years old.
Yeah.
So when I look at them and they can't even afford like the things that I have, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can definitely help those kids out. And just going back home, seeing that they love to play the game, they want to play the game, but they just don't have the tools.
Yeah.
So I'm in a position where I'm like, okay, I can help these kids out and bring some smile in their face.
Yeah.
So when I got contacted about a friend of mine, like, yo, this kid, you want to come watch, you want to come train with them? It wasn't even more about giving at the time. It was more like, did you want to come train with them? So I didn't know how it was. So when I went and trained with them, I'm seeing kids with like shoes in their holes, like holes in their shoes and stuff like that. It kind of made me like sad, you know what I mean? Because I was over here, I'm getting like different cleats every other month, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. So when I left and I went back, that's when I because I used to be sponsored by Adidas and I had so much cleats, I just like put all of them in the bag. I'm saying I'm taking this for them.
Yeah.
And when I went and I just like give it all out.
Of course. And
obviously they were very appreciative and thankful and just it makes me smile to see them smile and also keep smiling while they're playing the beautiful game.
Of course. And obviously being in Sierra Leone, did you pick up the accent? Did you pick up, some of Creole?
Well, I obviously Creole was one thing. My parents, my native language is called Mende, Mende, but I don't really know how to speak it because my parents didn't communicate it to me like that. My brother, my sister can speak it. I understand it, but Creole is like a language that you learn, like apart from being at school, you learn it in the streets because that's where everyone speaks. It's broken English. You know what I mean? So just knowing that I thought I could still speak it, but then when I went and then they're like, oh, you have an accent, or sometimes I realize that when I'm saying some stuff, it sounds like I'm speaking English because I have to come back and add like an actual English word into it. So they kind of like, oh, he doesn't spell. I obviously I pick up some slang and stuff like that, but I'm still kind of working my way because I don't live there. It's difficult because the language, I feel like it changes every other year. There's new words, there's new things always coming out. You know, just like in America, sometimes when the word comes out, like no cap, 6 years ago, that wasn't a word. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like the word is just evolving and stuff like that. Like if I go back, maybe there's been already like 10 other words that they already created. Yeah. So it's just crazy.
Of course. And obviously, if you could talk to about training with Mo Ali, a famous guy from Instagram, like how did that come about? And obviously, you've done various trainings with him.
Yeah, definitely. The first time I met Mo was through a friend of mine. He wanted to come work out and train. His name is what was his name? Jeffrey Achimpong, Ghanaian guy.
From Ghana, yeah.
So yeah, he wanted to come train him and have a session with him, and he's like, yo, you should come out and get some training session in. So I was like, yeah, definitely. So when he got there, and then I saw him, he started training us and stuff like that. So it was like an exciting feeling because I didn't know who he was at first. But then after that, we decided to exchange like
numbers,
contact Instagram and stuff like that. And that's when he said, yo, I would love to work with you again. And I saw him on Instagram. I was like, wow, this guy's really like
famous,
doing it. Like he's traveling, he's training players in Europe. That's crazy. So obviously in LA, obviously when he knew I was training in LA again, it's like, I love to work with you. We never had the time. But finally last year, towards the end of the year, we had the time. He's like, I'm in LA. Let's get some work in. So, whenever he calls, I'm like, let's get some. As long as it's pertaining to football, I'm like, let's work, man.
Yeah, of course.
So we just got some work done, and it was fun. It was exciting.
So to finalize the interview, Agustin, I really want to thank you, for your time. It was dope getting to know a person from Sierra Leone and also a native from the Bay Area, so that you're doing great things and big things. I wish you the best of luck this season. Hopefully it's MLS or abroad, and hopefully we can see you back with the national team with Sierra Leone. God bless you and your family, and like I said, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for watching my video. If you guys could share it with your family members and friends, that would be much appreciated. To all the people around the world who watch my videos, thank you so much. If you could like and subscribe to my channel, I would love that a lot. Until next time, thank you.